Welcome back to daily analysis. Let's start with what is actually happening into markets. So as you can see, Nifty is at like 25,157. Yesterday we were talking about it that this bearish candle, Nifty's bearish candle of 1.38 percentage, almost 350 points looks, the structure looks very much weak, and there's a good possibility that the markets might head down. If you see from the opening price, actually, there's slight almost Nifty opened at some price and closed at like very little. There's a very little the difference that there is between the open price and the closing price. But overall, the markets are down because it opened it opened at some sort of gap down. Let's try to understand this. So almost the movement is of almost 1%. If you would have traded, you would have understood what I'm actually trying to talk about. Yeah. So Nifty was yesterday at this price. There was no gap down, but Nifty opened at 25,145, and then this was the open price, and then it went like 1% down, then it went by like 0.5% up, and then it closed somewhere around somewhere 75 points down. So overall, again, and like now it made some sort of like a very big doji, not a big doji, but like this is what we call it, and like looks like again the structure is overall weak. First, I'll try to draw some sort of support resistance, because nowadays I'm neglecting all the support and resistance that is coming in between. But the levels usually when you're trying to do trading, these are the levels you can see and do trading. I'll just show you what sort of levels I'm talking about. When you're trying to do intraday trading with 5 minutes of chart, you will get a very good glimpse with the help of open, high, low, close prices of the previous monthly candles, right? Every candle represents 4 different prices: open, high, low and close. And when you try to draw, so in a monthly time frame, every candle is of a 1 month. So when you try to draw support resistance on a monthly time frame, it's like all the open, high, low, close. When you just put a line on the open, high, low, close prices of all the monthly time frame, you will get some sort of chart like this, and then you will be good for trading for today. Let's see, let's say what happened today. So this was some sort of opening. Market, it was not able to break this particular resistance. What happened next? Market moved down. It was some sort of support again. It did break the support, and then it went down. Tried to recover, broke the resistance, again went up. Again, not able to sustain the resistance, and then not able to sustain the support. This has become support. This was supposed to be support at 1255 or something. Then again it went down. So you will get a perfect glimpse of where exactly it is heading towards, and where it can pause, from where it can reverse. This is something that the monthly time frame, if you try to analyze the charts, but these levels are like these are so much in a very small area. You'll not be able to understand what's actually happening onto the overall, what's the overall verdict, where the stuff might actually go. That's why I've removed the high and low of all the candles, and I'm just focusing on open and close, because they give at least some sort of big ranges. I was trying to understand this, like currently, that when we are talking about very narrow ranges, it becomes very difficult for us to understand where it will take exact support, where it will take exact resistance. But these are zones, to be very honest, and you'll be able to mark those zones with the help of opening and closing price, and that will give you much more clarity. There will be less lines, and that's how you will be able to understand that okay, this chart looks much more cleaner than what I actually did before. With the help of all the open, high, low, close prices, just the opening and the closing price works absolutely fine, as you can pretty much see. So just talking about what actually happened to the chart. Again, there's a weakness, and let me clean this a little bit. And like you will find that on a 3-month or a 6-month time frame, nothing is getting this holds true, that the momentum moment that it did break the 25,500 level, the next some sort of technical support that I can see is at 24,600. Either it will reverse and then it will take some sort of support at 25,500. Maybe it will consolidate for some time, but this is the bigger range that the Nifty is playing towards. Okay. Let's try to understand Bank Nifty again. Yesterday we were trying to understand that. Yesterday we understood that both the structure look weak, and today Bank Nifty is down by 1%. So both are verdict. Like, you are able to understand, right? The verdict seems to be working out. Why? Even though we are not writing the verdict down, because the overall structure looks bad. There's a lot of things happening around the world. Nothing positive coming up, and I told this particular thing, I think in 3-4 back in 3-4 days, that regardless, if the US markets or other markets, if they are going up, maybe, or there's a good possibility that our markets might not be following. But if these guys are going down, definitely it will go down. You can check the video, and this is what is very much strange, but we have to accept the fact. There's a lot of good news coming up. There's a lot of FTAs that India is signing towards. Maybe we are having some sort of free trade agreement coming with the UAE, some sort of Gulf nation, and there's a good possibility with the European Union will sign a free trade agreement that will boost a lot of our export, and it will help in trade surplus, and definitely be very much positive for the markets. And the budget is coming up in less than 10 days. Very important things happening, absolutely crazy whatever things are going towards, and a good possibility that maybe markets can go up, but the structure does not. So we don't rely on what might happen, and without looking at the chart, we just believe what the price is saying. Nifty and Bank Nifty both looks weak, right? And there's some sort of support. So even for the Bank Nifty, 57,600, both looks weak, bearish. So the confirmation of the bearish pattern. This was the confirmation of our bearish pattern, and now both indices following the downward trending channel. Still a lot of gap to be filled. Let's try to look at what is actually happening into the OI data. So now 25,200 is acting as a very big resistance, right? There's a lot of call writing compared to the put writing. 42 lakh call option towards the put writing is just only 18 lakhs, net negative. On these strike prices also, if you could see that some early signs of maybe there's some sort of support the Nifty will take. Otherwise, there's the good support that I can see is at 24,700 and 24,900. And the chart, if you actually understand, 24,600 might see some sort of support from the Nifty's angle. Yeah. So 24,000 now, 25,200 acting as a 25,200 acting as a resistance for now. No nearby support, right? I forgot my specs upstairs. That's why 0.C PCR is at 0.7, so it indicates there's some sort of neutrality. Even if you look at the markets, right, it recovered by almost 1% from the bottom. If you are able to understand this, there's maybe someone knows something that we don't, and the bears were trying to take control of the chart, but they were not able to. We have to let's how it unfolds the data, we have to pretty much see, but overall it looks still negative, right? The chart. FI sold 56,000 call options, and FI sold 1,000 almost. FI is a negative on market. Pro bought 1.6 lakhs call options, and Pro sold 62,000 put options. So both of this data suddenly is becoming positive for the proprietary side, and they are actually cutting down their selling position. And if you look at from the client's angle, client sold 1 lakh contracts of call options and bought 52,000 put options. So client is negative, FIIs are negative, but Pro is positive on markets. It's interesting. FII and client made bullish positions. Pro suddenly changed to both of them made bearish positions. Bearish positions. Pro suddenly changed to bullish. Bullish side. Pro made it's like Pro suddenly changed to. Pro is bullish on markets. We can say this. But the overall picture seems to be very much clear. Client is long, Pro is short, and FIs are also short. Net, net position remain unchanged. But I think one more day and maybe the Pro will directly turn towards the bullish side. It'll unwind. You can see there are a lot of call options that they did buy. It's like he did Pro did buy a lot of call options, and now maybe the overall figure of this Pro will become towards the buy side, and the futures like the put selling overall this figure will become negative, and then Pro will actually be bullish on markets overall. What's happening with the future side? FII is increasing their future sell position. Increasing their future sell position. So they sold like 600 crores. Sold 600 crores. Again, the cash, untouched from the last, as you can date back from the start of this year, they just bought like 290 crores of stock, and like heavy selling throughout this January. And now we have to see that if actually the market goes up, they will be the one losing some sort of money, but that doesn't look like in the chart for now. So if I sold just today's data, right? If I sold 1.7 thousand crores of stock today. Let's try to understand what is happening into global markets. So S&P looks negative, DXY taking some sort of support after forming a big bearish engulfing pattern. Gold all-time high, some sort of panic. Silver finally having some sort of relaxation, but still I don't know. There's at 11:30 or something the markets will just see when the markets in MCX closes. Yeah, it closed at 12. Yeah, still like 1.5 hour left. But silver went to like 3 lakh 35,000, crazy, and then now it is like 3 lakh 20,000. almost went like 5% down from its high. Maybe there's some sort of cool down. I was expecting this cool down, and I was like, I think I'm suspicious. I think it'll have some sort of drawdown. Again, it'll come, it'll go up. There's no doubt about it. USD INR, guys, we are getting it's like a lot poorer than we actually understand. It has at like fresh all-time high, 91.58 rupees. That's the exchange. We are slowly going ahead towards the line of 100, which is very much negative for our markets. Nasdaq looks negative. TLT, EDV is gap down in both the in both the TLT ETFs. US 10-year bonds, 10-year bond yield jumping up. Uh, what's happening to the bond yield? Bond yield also, bonds, the price of bonds going up, bond yields ka also price going up. This is a lot different than what I actually expected, because European Union holds almost like 40% of the overall bonds that the US government has ever issued. And because of all this escalation thing, they like US trying to capture Greenland, EU not very comfortable with it. There's a news coming up that maybe they'll dump a lot of their bonds in they'll sell a lot of US bonds, which will increase the bond yield. And US already has a lot of debt, and they have to pay a lot of interest on that debt. So the overall world is going somewhere different. That's why there's a lot of panic, and we can see the rise in gold and silver as the bonds will get dumped. All the money that will flow to safe haven, obviously in bonds. I'm predicting one thing. I'm trying to predict one thing, that this Chinese yen, Chinese yuan, that is Japanese yen. Chinese yuan, maybe there's a good chance that will do better compared to US dollars. And why do I think this? And the theory, I don't know. I just made I was understanding this because China's increasing its ties with all the nations. If you are trying to understand, at the same time, when US is not having very good relations with the rest of the world. So when you look at Canada is telling that maybe China is a much more reliable partner than US. It does not change its policies in a way that as the presidency or the top governor of the country will change, they will also change their some sort of top leadership. It's like they'll change their policies or something. So there's a very interesting thing going on, that maybe the world will rely on China in the coming days. India, we are seeing this. The flights have started. For the China. It's like a lot of deep ties coming up, even though the land issues still exist. But slowly, maybe there's some sort of relations that China is trying to make up with the rest of the world. That is very they're actually taking the very best opportunity at this time, when people are losing trust from US. Maybe China will be a reliable partner. That's what it's trying to show. So Chinese yen going up compared to all the currencies that I feel will be the future of China's a much brighter future, to be very honest, if they don't do anything stupid for now. Yeah. So surprisingly, Bitcoin is going down, because the markets are going down. That's why the Bitcoin is going down. And every riskier asset, right? People are dumping every riskier asset, and they're moving towards the safe side. And let's try to understand what's happening in the small cap, mid cap. Everything is they're bleeding, man. Small cap down by like 1% or something. We'll try to look at mid cap. Mid cap is also down by 1%. Let's try to see, in the couple of days, as the story will unfold, how the markets will react towards any sort of FTA that India signs towards any of this. Yeah, thank you so much, and have a nice day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.